What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today is Main Deck Monday. Today we're looking over the Darkrai Giratina deck. Now this deck has been hyped up a lot during this past weekend. If you watch the Italian National Championships, it was one of the most talked about decks in day number one. The later on Genesect was pretty much brought up a lot more, but Darkrai Giratina was one of the most talked about decks going. Started off with the tournament. It was a very interesting idea, and I really haven't seen it played that much, but it did look very, very strong. And also, Andrew Wambalt posted an article too, and I grabbed his Latios-EX idea off of that article. I'll leave a link down below to Andrew's article. If you've never heard of the Charizard Lounge, make sure you check it out. Andrew's really, really good at writing, and I love all of his articles. He's a really good friend of mine. He has helped me out a lot during my YouTube time. But let's go over the deck, and let's see why this is such a strong combination, because it seems very weird. Like, Darkrai Giratina, you have Dark and Dragon, you're like, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, Dark and Dragon was one of the big types back in the day. Darkrai Hydreigon was one of my favorite decks, so can this deck replace Darkrai Hydreigon? Let's find out. So, our main attacker is going to be Darkrai-EX. It has 180 HP, which is very, it's one of the higher EXs. Usually there's 170 or 180. 190 now is Zygarde as well. But Darkrai-EX has the attack Dark Pulse. It's kind of like Evital EX, but it's only for your side of the field. This attack does 20 more damage for each Dark Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So all of your Pokemon to play, that's what we're going to do. Once you have 9 energy on the field, which seems like a lot, but it is going to be pretty easily, you can start taking one-shots, or maybe 8. Yeah, 8. 8 is 160, plus the 20, 180. So you need 8 energies on the field, which, like I said, might seem like a lot, but I promise it's going to be really, really easy with this deck. We could use Dark Head, but our opponents are never going to be asleep. 80, if they're asleep, you do 80 more damage. I know Wambalt put a Malamar EX in his list, but I opted not to put that in there. I don't really like it that much. I don't like clogging my bench up with that Malamar. Alright, and then we play 2 Giratina. So like I said, Darkrai is going to be our main attacker. We're going to put a bunch of energies on the field turn 1 very, very quickly. Take some knockouts with Dark Pulse. Now, Giratina is really good because of Chaos Well. It does 100 damage. Your opponent can't play any tools, special energy, or stadium cards from their hand during their turn. And it has the really cool ability, Renegade Pulse. Prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Mega Evolution Pokemon. So Megas cannot hurt Giratina, and your opponent can't play tools, special energy, or stadium cards, which is great because one of the best decks in the format right now is Night March, and they can't put down any special energies. How can they attack? And that's why Giratina is such a strong card in this deck. Now, like I said, Wambalt did play a Latios in his deck, and I really, really do like this concept a lot. Latios has 170 HP. It is a Dragon Pokemon. And the first deck is what we're going to use. It has the attack Fast Raid. It does 40 damage, and if you go first, you can use this attack on your first turn. So you can do 40 damage. We play Muscle Bands, so what you can do is 60 damage, which is great, because a lot of these, like, Stage 2, Stage 1 decks play Pokemon that have 6 HP or less. So you can easily get a knockout turn 1 and potentially make it where your opponent loses the game turn 1 because they don't have a bench Pokemon. And that's why Latios is such a good card. They can sit there with the Froakie, you get down the Latios, Muscle Band, and you knock it out, which is great. Phantom, you can do that. Pumpkaboo, Joltik, Remoraid, Jirachi. There's so many Pokemon you can knock out with this Latios, which I do like a lot. Now, we do play 2 Shaymin to help set up for 6 and 1 Hoopa for the Scoundrel to search for 3 EX Pokemon, which is really, really nice. And that's all our Pokemon in here. No Zoroarks, no Stage 1s, nothing too crazy. Just a very consistent list, except the Latios, which is kind of techy, but it's still really, really good. We play 2 energy switches. You switch an energy from basic energy from one of your Pokemon to another Pokemon. I'll go over that in a second why it's such a good card. 2 Escape Rope. Both you and your opponent switch their active Pokemon to one of their bench. Your opponent switches first. And the reason why we're playing Energy Switch and Escape Rope is because we play 4 Max Elixir. Like I said earlier, Darkrai relies on how many energy is in play, but Max Elixir says, look at the top 6 cards of your deck and attach a basic energy card you find there to a basic Pokemon on your bench, shuffle the other cards back into your deck. So this way, we're going to put Dark Energies on our basic Pokemon, and what you could do is you could, like, attach a Dark Energy to active, Energy Switch that bench Max Elixir Energy to the active Max Elixir Energy, or to the active Pokemon, and you can start attacking turn 1. You can also play Escape Rope to switch out the active, and you could use Energy Switch late game, maybe like double Energy Switch, AZ, pick up the hurt Pokemon, which is really, really nice. I do like Energy Switch a lot in this deck, because it does kind of make it come out of nowhere. You can attack with the Giratina maybe, like you can double Dragon, double Energy Switch, take a knockout, now your opponent can't put any special energies, which is really, really nice, and I do like the energies and the Escape Rope to help you get the turn 1 attack off. You play 4 Trainers Mail, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 VS Seeker, just really consistent cards, and that's why we play them. 1 AZ to put 1 Pokemon back into your hand, discard all cards attached to that. Like I said earlier, you could pick up a very heavily damaged Darkrai or Giratina, put it back in your hand, and make sure your opponent cannot take a knockout on it. We play 2 Hex Maniac to shut down all abilities. Now this is great because once we use our Shaymins and Hoopas, we really don't have any abilities anymore. We're just kind of sitting there taking knockouts. I know we have the Giratina's ability, but this is going to help us a lot against Greninja. Against Greninja, you can just Hex Maniac them. They can use Giant Water Shuriken. They can use Water Shuriken. And this could help you out a lot to take the knockout or take the game. So not only can we dunk Greninja, we can maybe shut them down with the Hex Maniac, which is really, really nice. Alright, so we Hex Maniac, we got the AZ, we got everything else, alright? So 2 Lysandre, obviously bring a Pokemon off the bench. 2 N, 4 Sycamore. N is such a great late game card. If your opponent takes a bunch of prize cards, you can end up down to a low hand size, and you're pretty much good to go. Now the confusing card that some people, which I like a lot, some people don't like, is the 2 Parallel City. And the one we're going to actually use is this top part. We're going to put ourselves to 3 bench Pokemon, because the idea of this deck is you Ultra Ball turn 1 for a Hoopa, you grab like 2 Darkrai, maybe Darkrai, Giratina, and Shaymin, you play a bunch of cards, play another Shaymin, you do a bunch of Max Elixirs, attach an energy, whatever, and then you use Parallel City and put your bench down to 3 Pokemon. And this way they cannot knock out your Shaymins. Like, they're like, oh, now I can't knock out your Shaymins because you just discarded them with Parallel City, which is really, really nice, and I love this card a lot. You play 2 Fighting Fury Belt to give your Pokemon 40 more HP, and they do 10 more 40 more HP, and they do 10 more damage, which is really nice. Now it turns Darkrai into 220. It turns Giratina into 210, which is a lot of HP, and your opponent has to find a way to knock out these very, very tanky EX Pokemon. 2 Float Stone to help us get that turn 1 attack off, like I've been saying. You could Float Stone a Hoopa, so that way if the Lysandre up, you can just free retreat it with the Float Stone. 2 Muscle Band, and this is going to depend on the situation. Do you want Muscle Band or Fighting Fury Belt? It is, you know, which one do you want to do? Sometimes you just draw into one, you just put it down regardless. The deck plays 4 Double Dragon Energy, which Double Dragon can count as any energy. So it counts as any energy, and 2 of those energies. So when you attach the Double Dragon to a Giratina, it provides the Grass and Psychic, so that way you can use Chaos Will, but it also provides 2 Dark Energies, and this is why it's such a good card. So basically, when you attach a Double Dragon to a Giratina, you're basically boosting your Darkrai's EX Dark Pulse by plus 40 instead of plus 20, because it is 2 Dark Energies being attached to this Giratina, which is really, really nice. And we play 8 Dark Energies to help out with the Max Elixir to help you get the turn 1 off a lot. So there you go. There is the Darkrai Giratina deck. I think this deck is really, really strong. Combine those Hex Maniac, and I think you have a really, really deadly deck. I think this does have a lot of potential. Against Night March, like I said, you can use Giratina. Against Mega's deck, you use Giratina. Against everything else, you pretty much use Darkrai. Darkrai can get powered up really quickly. By turn 2, you can easily take knockouts, doing hundreds of plus damage, and knock out maybe an EX Pokemon if you're really lucky. Like, if you hit all 4 Max Elixirs, that's plus 80, plus the attachment, 100, plus a Double Dragon, 140, plus the Muscle Band, 160, plus the base, 180. So you can get a turn 2 180. I'm pretty sure I did the math right in my head. To get a knockout turn 1 for 180, I think that's potential. Like, that could happen. Yeah, let's see. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we can get a turn to 180 damage if you hit everything, which is pretty crazy if you can pull it off. But besides that, turn 3, you can start swinging a ton of damage, swinging like 200 at least, pretty easily, because the Double Dragons do help you out a lot. But there's my version of Darkrai Giratina. Like I said, down below will be a link to Andrew Wambaught's article. Make sure you check that out. He does go a lot about this deck, and I do like all of Andrew's article. But check that out. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this deck introduction, and let's see the deck in action right now. Alright, putting against Mofoni, playing a Psychic and Colors deck. This could be a Trevenant deck, which is, if that's the case, that's really good for us, because Trevenant is weak to, it's weak to Dark. And we're playing an all-dark deck, like a Speed, Dark deck. Okay, so we got a Shaymin, we got an Escape Rope, we got an Ultra Ball, we got a Hoopa-EX in the deck. And, alright, so it kind of looks like it definitely looks like it's a Trevenant deck, like, they played as a Rose, Team Flare Gun, Wally, like, what else plays a Wally and all that stuff? Looks like we'll see oh, there he is. There's Big Bad Trevenant. Alright. So my opponent's going to give us 2 mulligan draws, which is not going to be good for him because, oh, another mulligan draw. But, I mean, Trevenant Break did just win the Italian Nationals, which, I mean, I imagine a lot of people are going to start testing it now. And, oh, my goodness, another mulligan. I am fine with all these mulligan draws. Thank you, Mofoni. Alright, okay, looks like they did find somebody. We'll take all these mulligan draws, that always seems great. I'll keep the party going, okay. So, press done, we are going first, and there's a Shaymin. Alright, so we're gonna Ultra Ball, discard Hex Maniac, and a Trainers Mail. I probably should have did Dark Energy, that probably would have been a little bit better. We'll grab a Hoopa. Do we even grab a Hoopa? Yeah, we'll grab a Hoopa. That seems good, so we'll grab a Hoopa. We'll play the Hoopa down. We will use the setup. I mean, draw 3 EX Pokemon. We'll grab Darkrai, and Shaymin. Okay? Yeah, probably should have discarded the Dark Energy, but whatever. We'll get those 3. We'll put down the Darkrai, put down the Darkrai, put down the Giratina, put a Dark Energy on a Darkrai, use Trainers Mail. Going to grab no Max Elixir, okay? We'll grab an N. Okay, we will Ultra Ball, discard Sycamore and N. And we're not going to get anybody, we're just setting up for another Shaymin play. We'll press done. Shaymin setting up for 3 whole new cards, yes. And let's see, what do we get? Can we find one of those Max Elixirs or not? And there is one of those Max Elixirs, so let's play it. And what? No! Okay, alright, perfect, alright. So put a Fighting Probe on the active. We'll play an Escape Rope just to get the Shaymin out of the active spot. Put up the Darkrai. And we will be a Seeker for an N. Yep, this seems fine. We can get more energies out in play. So let's play the N. And let's see what do we get. Now, if we hit the, the Parallel City out, we'll be A-okay. Looks like we did not hit a Max Elixir, which is very unfortunate. The question is, can my opponent get a turn 1 Wally? We're going to play safe regardless. We're going to grab an N to put in our hand. And we are just going to end our turn. Alright, so on my opponent's turn, let's see what's going to happen. Now, we can just easily put a Dark Energy the active. Dark Balls for 20, 40, 60, 80. Times 2 is 160 to knock out a Trevenant. We can put a Dark Energy in the active. Put a Max Elixir for 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. If we get down double Max Elixir, we take a knock on Shaymin. So you can see what we have a lot of potential next turn, depending on what my opponent decides to do. Now, the only thing we have to kind of think about is the Bursting Balloon. Bursting Balloon will be kind of bad. There's a Phantom coming down. There's a Trainer's Mail. Can my opponent find a Wally to get it out of Trevenant? Now, if they do find one, I would not send in this Phantom right now because it's just going to get knocked out. Darkrai is just going to smack it for a ton of damage, and it's going to put my opponent down on prize cards. So I doubt they want to do that. They might want to be safe and just wait till they get the Trevenant breakout and then start attacking. Even then, they're in such a bad situation. Trevenant comes down. They're going to have to wait to hit a, what is it? Oh, they are going to put a Psychic Energy in the active. Okay, I hope they don't retreat, and they are going to retreat. They better have a Lysandre here. Oh, they've already Wally. So, okay, Bursting Balloon on the active. Doesn't really matter. I'm fine with getting hit because we'll take a knockout this turn. So we'll put a Dark Energy on the active. We'll just Dark Pulse for the knockout. 20, 40, 60, 70, 140. We'll get hit for 60 with the Bursting Balloon, but I mean, we're still okay. I just tried to take 2 prize cards. Double Dragon come in our hand. And that's not going to be good for my opponent because now we can do 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 110, and we can knock out the Shaymin next turn. We see a Sycamore. Going to discard the hand, drawing 7 new cards. Another Phantom comes down. Red card, alright, so red card is coming down, but once again, my opponent cannot send this Phantom up. It will just get knocked out, which is not what they want to see. We see a Super Rod, Gunner Shelf, and 3 combination of Pokemon or energies back into the deck. Probably the 1-1 Phantom Trevenant line and the Psychic Energies, what I imagine what we'll see. They did discard a Trevenant Break, that seems fine as well, okay? There's a Trainer's Mail going to the top 4 cards of their deck, but my opponent just red card us to 4, and we have a pretty good hand. There's an Acrobike, okay? I guess the question is, if they do find like a bursty balloon, do they ascension into a Trevenant? I don't know. I don't know this correct play or not, but we see them discarding Team Flare Grunt, which I'm okay with. There's a Psychic Energy going to Trevenant, okay. And a pass onto our turn, okay. So get a Muscle Band, we'll play the Max Elixir. Gonna grab a Dark Energy, put it on the Darkrai. We will put a Muscle Band on the Darkrai, we'll put down the Parallel City, and that way we can bump our Shaymins off. So that way my opponent does not get easy prize cards off the Shaymin. So we'll discard the Shaymin, and we'll discard the Shaymin as well. So we took off 2 easy knockouts from our opponents. We will VS Seeker for a Sycamore, discard our hand, draw 7 new cards. Alright, and let's see, what do we get off the Sycamore, okay. There's another Dark Energy, so we can put a double dragon on this guy, and we can Dark Pulse for the knockout. That seems fine. We could play the Ultra Ball, but I didn't really want to give up on anything, so we see a Dark Pulse for the knockout. We're going down 4 prize cards. We'll take 2 prize cards now. Earlier, I didn't try to take 2 prize. I tried to take 2 prize cards. Now when I knocked out a Shaymin, I didn't try to take 2 prize cards. What's wrong with me? Alright, so we see an Ultra Ball. This will get a Trevenant out. Maybe another Phantom. Whatever my opponent was decided to do, they could get a Trevenant out. They only have 1 card. Okay, there's Shaymin. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So we see Shaymin coming down. I'm going to set up for 5 whole new cards. Can they find a Trevenant and a Wally? But even if they do, they're still going to get knocked out. Like, don't know what my opponent could do. There's 2 Phantoms coming down. Okay. And let's see, what does Mafoni decide to do here? I mean, it's not looking good for him. We can easily just knock out anybody. The only problem is, if they Lysandre at the Hoopa, they could get it stuck in the active spot, making it where we cannot retreat it. We did not have a time to Float Stone it, which is kind of bad. There's a Dimension Valley coming down, which we can use. We can just bump that if we want to. There's a Lysandre. Going to bring up the Hoopa, and this is what I was talking about. This is actually kind of really bad. Like, okay, there's Ascension. Going to get out this. Yeah, they're going to get out the good old Trevenant. Alright, so on to our turn. Okay, so we get a Muscle Band, alright. How many, have we played our AZ? We have not played AZ yet. So we're going to put Dark Energy in the active. We are going to put down Latios. We're going to play Parallel City. We will flip it around. Yes, we'll press done. And with this, we'll discard our Latios. And we'll play an N. The reason why I did all this stuff is so that way we can thin our deck out, thin our hand out just a little bit more. We'll play, oh man, I don't know if playing the N here was a good idea or not. There's an AZ, Double Dragon, but we cannot touch a Double Dragon to the Hoopa. And looks like we're just going to end our turn. Now, opponent can start using Trevenant Break, which is very unfortunate. But if we top deck a Float Stone, we get Hex Maniac, Float Stone, and retreat the Hoopa, which is great. But my opponent can use Tree Slam to start speeding the damage up. There's a Headringer going onto the Giratina. I'm not sure if I like that play or not. I would probably put the Headringer on the Hoopa. I guess my opponent doesn't think we're playing Hex Maniac. There's a Psychic Energy to the active. We'll see a Silent Fear doing 30 everywhere, and the pressure is on to us. Can we find an AZ? Can we find a Float Stone? There's a lot of things that can happen here, and if we get either one of those, I think we're going to be A-okay. Especially if we get the AZ. If we get the AZ, I don't think my opponent can really do anything. We can just keep taking knockouts constantly over and over again. But let's see, what does Mafoni have here? If we have a Dark Energy, we can treat 20, 40, 60. I mean, that's a ton of damage. Alright, so this is a Team Flare Gun. Go and discard that Dark Energy on the active. Oh my goodness, Mafoni, please stop doing that. Alright. So we'll probably see Silent Fear doing 30 everywhere. Okay, it will take my opponent a good minute to take some knockouts. But if they get 5 more turns of doing that, they can just easily win the game. There's a Double Dragon. We'll attach on the Giratina. We'll end our turn. On to our opponent's turn. All we need is an AZ. All we need is a VS Seeker. If we get a VS Seeker, we can play Sycamore. There's a lot of things that can happen to us. We just gotta find a way to retreat this Hoopa. There's a Wally. Gonna get another Trevenant on the field. How many Lysandres have we played? We have not played a single Lysandre as well. Okay, so I mean, things are looking good for us. This might take us a hot second. There's a Psychic Energy, Silent Fear doing 30 everywhere. This Darkrai is brought up to 120 damage. Alright. So on our turn, we get a Dark Energy. Alright, so we'll put down the active. We'll end our turn. Does our opponent have another VS Seeker for another Team Flare Gun is the question as well. They have only played one VS Seeker, and there's another Team Flare Gun coming down on the field. Silent Fear gonna hit us one more time. Oh my goodness, everybody's up to 90 damage. On to our turn. What do we get? There's a Trainers Mail, so we're gonna Hex Maniac. We're going to Trainers Mail. We're looking for a Float Stone. Please give us a Float Stone. There it is. There is the Float Stone. That's what I'm talking about. So grab the Float Stone. Put the Float Stone on the active. We will retreat into the Darkrai. Put a double dragon on the Giratina. And we will Dark Pulse. This is going to hurt my opponent a lot. And it's going to do 420 damage. I am sorry, Trevenant Break. That is, oh my goodness. Okay, so we'll take a price card, getting a Trainers Mail, which is useless now, because Hex Maniac will be over, going back into our turn. But what can my opponent do? I guess they can Lysandre up this Darkrai. Does have a 2 retreat cost. They could play another Team Flare Gun as well. That could be something they could do to discard the Dark Energy. They can't knock us out. Let's see, this guy has 70, this guy's 90, this guy has 80, and this guy has 80. So my opponent needs at least 3 more turns before they can take the game. But with his teammates, we are going to take a knockout of Trevenant, and all we have to do is knock out this last Trevenant, and we should be okay. Unless my opponent plays Crushing Hammers. There's a our Parallel City getting knocked out. There's a Psychic Energy deactive. We could see a Tree Slam. It'd only do 40 damage and 22 Pokemon. It won't take a knockout on us, which is great. That Fighting Free Belt is saving us. Alright, so on our turn, what do we get? We get a Muscle Band. Well, we're just going to use Dark Pulse for the knockout. And my opponent cannot attack us this turn unless they get like an energy, like a Trevenant, Wally, and a Psychic Energy. That's 3 cards that's really hard for my opponent to find. There's an Escape Rope, which is pretty much useless. Fanta coming up. What can my opponent do this turn? It is I mean, it's kind of close. There's a Trainer's Mail. Gonna look at top 4 cards of their deck. And let's see. I mean, they could fight a Flare Gun once again. Discard a Dark Energy, get a Trevenant out. There's a Sycamore. I doubt that's what he wants to see, though. I imagine he wants to see a VS Seeker. There's a red card. We're going to put us at 4 cards, and that's a pretty good 4 cards. And there's Sycamore, so we pretty much got this game set up. I don't know what my opponent could do now. We are going to take a knockout on this guy. There's a Psychic Energy. Even if they put down a Bursting Balloon, we could take a knockout on this Trevenant. We even have a Dark Energy to do more damage, to do like 440. And there we go. There is a... Oh, what did that? It would have done 460. Sorry about that. But there we go. Taking the win against the Trevenant deck. We were item locked, and we still were able to beat it. Like I said, the worst thing happened. They Lysandre up a Hoopa, but the 2 Hex Maniacs does save a lot. It saves us a lot against the Trevenant deck. I mean, Trevenant and the Greninja deck, which I do like a lot about the 2 Hex Maniacs. But we'll see what happens in the next game. That was kind of close. More than I want to be. Let's look at my opponent's deck and see what it's about. There's a 4-4-3. It looks like they played 2 red cards, which we did see. 4 Wally. Wow, they're trying super hard to get that turn 1. How many VS Seekers did they play? Only 2 VS Seekers. It's very interesting. Don't know if my opponent doesn't have all the resources or not. 1 Headringer, which if they would have put that on the bench, I mean the active Hoopa, it would have been very, very different. There we go. We'll see one more game with the Darkrai Giratina deck, and we'll see what happens. Alright, pretty good. Danny Targaryen. Wait, is that Targaryen? It might not be Targaryen, but it's close enough to me. I guess I watched too much Game of Thrones. But wait for my opponent to load into the game. They're playing an all-water deck, which could be a Greninja deck. Now, this could be very interesting because we could knock like a Froakie out turn 1 with like a Latios, with the double Dragon Energy, with the Muscle Band. That's pretty cool. We got double Hex Maniac. We could power up a giant Darkrai, and you know, keep Hex Maniac them and be okay. We did lose the coin flip, so we still can get the potential turn 1 donk if they just like put a Froakie and pass. Which does happen a lot with these frog sticks. Like they just put a Froakie and they just like, alright, I'm just gonna pass for the turn and your turn. Alright, so it looks like we did get a mulligan if like that Lysandre was a Pokemon would be okay. Like this is a really good hand. But it is not. Alright, so looks like they did get more than 1 Pokemon. Let's see, did they put the other Pokemon down or not? Now, it was all water. Usually with these decks, you might see like a Jirachi tech. But Jirachi's kind of hard to get online. It looks like they are going to opt not to put the Pokemon down. We're going to press done. No Pokemon. We are going to get the mulligan. Alright, we get another mulligan. So my opponent gets 2 Pokemon, 2 extra draws for the mulligan. Take number 3, and we get another mulligan. Every time we have a semi-decent hand. But let's try. Okay, there's a Darkrai, Ultra Ball. Alright, so this could be a turn 1 donk if they start a frog. Let's see, is it a Frogadier deck or not? That is the question, though. They are going to get, what, 3 mulligan draws or something crazy like that? But let's see what our opponent decides to do. Danny Targaryen. Like, I want to say that's what his name is, but it might not be. Targaryen. I don't know. like I said, I might just be watching too much Game of Thrones. They're opting, do they want to draw the cards or not? You do have the option to draw your cards if you want to, or not. The question is, does my opponent want to? Because if they're playing a Greninja deck, you really don't want to draw into your Frogadiers. But my opponent is going to draw those three, and it's a Remoraid, okay? This still could be a Frogs deck. Like, they play like Octillery, which we do see sometimes. There's a Professor. They're going to search for 2 Water Energies. Can they find another Pokemon to put down? If they don't, well, we could get a Donk turn 2, which is great. But let's see what my opponent decides to do here. There's a Water to the active, okay. And, oh my goodness, just a pass. We know they have another Pokemon in their hand because they opted not to pick one. So we're going to go Ultra Ball and discard a Dark and a Max Elixir. So we need to play somewhat safe just in case our Latios is not priced. Alright, so we're gonna have a Hoopa. We're gonna play Scoundering, search for 3 EX Pokemon, yes or we're gonna grab a Darkrai, Latios, and a Shaymin. Alright, so those cards are great. We just need to get a Muscle Band. Alright, so those 3 cards come into our hand. We'll put down the Darkrai, put down the Giratina, put down the Latios, double Dragon the Latios. Come on. Oh, and we see a victory screen coming down. My opponent realizing, like, hey, probably going to get donked here. And let's see. Can we view our opponent's deck right now? Like, we have a double dragon. We would have played the Max. We probably would have. It's always weird. Do you play Max Elixir first or do you play Trainers Mail? I probably would have played the Trainers Mail. No, I probably would have played the Max Elixir first because we've been playing more energy cards, so we probably would have got the energy card out. Play the Trainers Mode, try to look for a Float Stone, an Escape Rope, or something. We have Escape Ropes, we have Float Stone, we have AZ as well, and we have to get a Muscle Band. But we would have played 6 whole new cards, maybe draw some more cards. Let's see our opponent's deck, and it was a Frogs deck. They have 3 Froakie, 1, okay, so they play a very interesting line. But yeah, it was a Frogadier deck, and like I said, we do get the donk a lot with this deck, get the Latios out, hit for the fast rate, for the knockout. They played 11 energies, but like I said, I think my opponent they must have had like a dive ball and a Wally in their hand or something. That's why they opted not to put the Pokemon down or something. I'm not sure why they didn't put that down. Maybe they saw Giratina and they're like, oh, there's no way my opponent can take a knockout. And we're like, yes, we can. But we'll see one more game with the deck here in a second. We beat a Trevenant deck. We beat a Greninja deck. You do donk a lot of Greninja decks because, like I said, most of the time they start Froakie and they just pass. And you're like, alrighty, let's see what we can do. But we'll see what happens in the next game. Alright, putting against K-Long-EX playing another water deck. Is this going to be another Greninja deck? We'll wait for them to load into the game. If it is another Greninja deck, we'll see how it goes. We'll get another donk. Will the double Hex Maniac come into play? We'll see what happens. Who goes first is the real question. They are playing all water. No Shaymin, no Jirachi. That's what I'm thinking. And we won the coin flip. Time to see if we can donk a Froakie. Alright, so on our turn, what do we get? Okay. So, we get a Mulligan, we'll press done, and it looks like they have a Mulligan as well. There's Greninja break, so they are playing a Greninja. Greninja is one of the biggest decks online right now. Everybody seems to be playing it, and we're gonna see, can we beat it or not? Alright, we have a good, we got a good hand. We got a Giratina, we got a Hoopa. We'll press done. We just gotta see, is our Latios prized or not? Looks like we see another, a Splash Energy. That makes things interesting. Well, it might make things interesting. We'll see what happens. Alright, so they get another Mulligan, which my opponent does not want us to have. We already have an Escape Rope to get the Latios and the active spot. Looks like they did get a Pokemon, but did they get 2 Pokemon or not is the big question. Scared for my opponent. I am scared for him, but we're going to wait to choose an active Pokemon. Please wait while your opponent chooses an active Pokemon. And it looks like they don't have another one. Yes, we'll draw for Mulligan. Yes, we'll draw for Mulligan. There's a Max Elixir. Oh my goodness, he is in our hand. Oh man, he is in our hand. Okay, so put down Latios. We will Escape Rope. We still need some more pieces of puzzles. We will put down Darkrai. We'll use Hoopa, Scoundering. And with this, we'll search for 2 Shaymin. No, let's just search for 1 Shaymin. That seems great. So search for a Shaymin. We will Max Elixir. Gonna get the Dark Energy, okay. We'll attach it onto the Darkrai. We will Trainers Mail, look at top 4 cards of our deck. We'll grab another Max Elixir. Okay, we could grab an N. No, let's grab Max Elixir, whatever. Gonna use Max Elixir, search for another Dark Energy, and there we go. So we get 2 Dark Energies on the field. We will Shaymin setting up for 3. Yes, and let's see, can we find a Double Dragon and a Muscle Band? Okay, no Double Dragon yet. We're gonna Ultra Ball, discard Hex Maniac and a Dark Energy. With this, we'll grab another Shaymin, and we'll actually use the Energy Switch as well, so that way we don't have it in our hand. We'll Energy Switch, put a Dark Energy from Darkrai onto the Giratina, just so we can draw more cards with the Shaymin. So let's Shaymin, setting up 4 whole new cards. Can we find a Double Dragon Energy and a Muscle Band? Alright, we do not have it yet, so we're gonna Float Stone the Hoopa. We'll Fighting for Belt the Darkrai, and we will play an end. Can we find a Double Dragon and a Muscle Band? Let's see. And we whiffed it. Okay, we did not hit. Oh my goodness, we did not hit the Double Dragon. So we're gonna Max Elixir. Gonna get the Dark Energy in play, maybe. And we. Oh, the next card was a Double Dragon. If we would have drawn 7 off the end, we would have had the knockout. Very unfortunate. We'll end our turn. Alright, so into my opponent's turn. Let's see what's gonna happen. Now, we're still gonna be in good shape. We can knock out this Froakie pretty easily. My opponent will need to put down the Pokemon. There we go. Another Froakie coming online. There's a Dive Ball. Probably get another Froakie out in play. Just very unfortunate for us. We whiffed the Double Dragon Energy. We had the Muscle Band. There's a Frogadier coming to their hand, which we could just use the N to get it out of there. Yeah, we should be okay, though. Maybe. We'll see. So pass onto our turn. We get a Energy Switch. Okay, so we'll Energy Switch 20, 40. Yeah, we're an Energy Switch. Put the Dark Energy on the Darkrai. The bad thing is we don't have any more Energy Switches. We'll Float Stone the active. We will Muscle Band the Giratina. And we will play it and shuffle both players' hands to the deck and draw 6 new cards. The Dark Energy, okay, we'll put down the Giratina. Yeah, we'll put down the Giratina. We will free retreat into the Darkrai, and we will use Dark Pulse for the knockout. Now, the thing is we're going to start putting a lot of pressure on our opponents. Next turn, we can put another Dark Energy down, start swinging for 110. There's a Double Dragon Energy, which is even better, because then we're going to swing for 130 onto my opponent's turn. And you're going to see how quickly we're going to start doing damage to this Greninja deck, and can they keep up or not is the big question. That's what this deck is going to struggle with, since we're going to take quick knockouts on our opponent, but they can easily come back. There's a Splash Energy. We're going to see a Water Duplicate that's going to get out 3 Greninjas, or 3 Frogadiers. I apologize for that, but we'll see 3 Frogadiers come down, I imagine. There's 1, 2, and 3. So 3 Frogadiers coming online onto our turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to AZ, pick up a Shaymin. We're going to put down the Darkrai. We're going to power another Darkrai up, which seems great. Put that down. We'll put a Fighting Fury Belt in this guy, and we will Dark Pulse. That'll take a knockout. And then next time we can knock out another Greninja. We have a Double Dragon Energy, which will do some more damage. The only thing is my opponent can start using Greninja next turn. There's Darkrai coming down. We'll see a Frogadier come up. And we're going to see, do we have enough turns or not to outbeat this Frogadier deck, or the Greninja deck. Let's see, next turn we Double Dragon the Giratina. We can take a knockout. There's a Greninja coming down. The only downside is we do not have any Hex Maniacs yet. How many VS Seekers have we played? We have not played a VS Seeker. 1 Hex in the discard pile. Greninja coming down as well. We'll see a Froakie coming down. My opponent can Moonlight Slide. Oh, actually, he does not have any energies. All right. So we're going to Double Dragon this guy, and we are going to Dark Pulse. It seems like my opponent has run out of steam. Yeah, so we'll take a knockout there. We'll go down to 3. My opponent can't knock us out. And there's a Hex Maniac as well. Ooh, things are not looking good for my opponent. Let's see if they can do 6, 7, 8, 9, plus the 80s, 170, plus the Muscle Band. Yeah, there's no way they're knocking out Darkrai this turn. Next turn we can Hex Maniac to shut down, and they receive Victor Screen. And there you go. You can see, like, even though we didn't get the donk, if we go first, we have enough time. Like, we have enough time to keep knocking out these frogs over and over again. We're going to go down 2 prize cards, put another Double Dragon on this Darkrai, and pretty much be set up, ready to go. So not only can you donk these Greninjas, you can just outspeed them a little bit, because you can get so many energies in play so quickly, and kind of just outspeed them to win the game. So there you go. There is the Darkrai Giratina deck. We beat the Trainer deck, which is one of the biggest decks right now, especially since it won Italian Nationals. A Greninja is probably the best deck in the format right now. I would say it is probably one of the best decks. Besides that Night March, one of the two is probably the best. And, yeah, so we took down Greninja, we dunked it. Same thing with Night March. We can easily just dunk it as well with Latios. We can maybe outspeed it as well. But that one, all they need is a DCE. They do have to deal with a 220 HP Darkrai, which could be a little bit difficult. They might have to two-shot your Darkrai's. But there you go. Hopefully you do this episode of Darkrai Giratina. And also against Night March, we have Giratina as well, which can make it where they can't play any more double Dragon Energy. I mean, can't play any more DCs, which is great for us. So you can see how good of a deck Darkrai Giratina is and why people are considering it for Nationals. But hopefully you do this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great Monday. Alrighty, bye. Alright guys, just want to give a quick shout out to our two sponsors, 60 Cards and Yeti Gaming. The links are down below to their websites. Make sure you go check them out. Alrighty.